you can logically like point out all the flaws like in any religion, I think, right?
Pretty much, yeah. It's for me personally, so when my parents got divorced, that was kind of like the nail in the coffin of like, oh, a lot of this is not right. Like I had questions and stuff. So a little brief history of Mormonism. When you're 8 years old, you get baptized into it, right? You have this contract that you sign and everything. It's apparently legally binding, but you're an 8-year-old. So like, how does that work? But
when you dream this big, you don't want to wake up. You feel this ground and you don't want to take off.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to Deep Thoughts. This is episode 18. We're back here, different setup. It's just me this time. In this episode, I got to speak with Jackson. He's a good friend of ours, and he's we talked about a lot. Like, he used to be a Mormon, and like spirituality and life and a whole bunch of other stuff, like Spartan races, if you're interested in that. And it was a really good episode, so I hope you guys enjoy. All right, let's get this thing going. Dang, it's been a while since I filmed a Deep Thoughts. Since like March.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a pretty solid span of time there, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, I spent it. I'm a software engineer now. Like, so that's what I spent the whole summer like working towards becoming one. So.
Just been going to school for it, or just kind of teaching yourself, like the Google IT classes kind of thing?
Yeah, like self-taught.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I spent the whole summer doing that. So that was a little hiatus, and now I'm working on getting back towards like podcasting and stuff like that.
Nice. Good shit. Good shit.
And I had a question for you, which was so like what? Well, I know what a Spartan race is, but like, how do you get into it and like? What is
so,
Spartan race?
For those of you who don't know, Spartan races are the obstacle course races. It's like the Dirty Dash or mud runs, or I'm trying to think of other ones. But how I got into it was my old man. He was working at this call center or something, and he started working out with a couple of his buddies from work, and they just did them. You know, they had signed up for him and did the obstacle course races a bunch, and so he did a few, and then he got pretty much my entire family to do at least one, which was pretty cool. But I've done 3. It was my first one was my senior year of high school. Yeah, the first one I did was my senior year, and that was the Beast, which is their biggest one. It's like a half marathon just filled with a bunch of obstacles, and oh my god, it killed me. I got to mile 9. Like, I remember getting to the mile 9 marker and just hitting a wall, and the only thing that kept me going was the thought of a quesarito from Chipotle. So it's
Wait, which race was that one? Your like second one? That wasn't your first one, right?
No, that was my first one. That was the first one that I did. It was they've got 3 different ones. You've got the sprint, the super, and the beast. The sprint is like just over a 5K kind of thing, I think. It's anywhere from like 3 to 5 miles. The super is like 5 to 10 or so, and then the beast is 10 plus, but it's usually about a half marathon after all is said and done.
Yeah, so you started.
I started with the hardest, and then kind of got marginally easier.
I would like to try one though, because it looks kind of fun, right? Like
it is. There's a very common tagline, 2 common taglines, is you got to be a special kind of crazy to those races. And then you'll know at the finish line, which is more to speak to like just the experience, because like you can talk about it until you're blue in the face, but until you actually go and do the entire race, you're not going to get that kind of I guess, true sense of satisfaction and understanding with what it was that you just accomplished until you're done with it. You get to the end, you get a banana, you get a beer, and you get, yeah, dude, like potassium levels and shit are so spent.
Oh, yeah.
They've got water stations with like little salt packets and stuff to make sure that you got your electrolytes up every, mile, half mile or so. But, yeah, it's nuts. Really fun. Awesome to do, especially like with a group of friends and or just, people that you can just go have a good time with. But there's people that go and do it just for the fun of it. There are people that actually will do the competitive side of it, like the world champions. They'll do that shit in like an hour and a half. It's nuts. You go through and watch some of the videos of like the top 10 people that place. They are monsters of their own right.
Shout out to them, because there's a lot of like crazy, well, not crazy, but like athletes who are like on a different level. Like,
oh, absolutely.
Because I was looking at marathon results. Why? I don't know. I was looking at results, and like people are completing marathons in like 2 hours, an hour. Like,
yeah, I can I can walk up some stairs and not get winded, but then as soon as I go like anywhere after that, I'm out for the count. Having these dudes that will run and sprint basically for like an hour and a half straight. No, I could never.
But it's inspirational though, because it kind of shows you what we're capable of.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
If we just like apply ourselves on. Because they all started somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
And then through like the time they spent in the practice, they got to where they are now, where they can really freaking
just send it. It's nuts. And I will say, like, when I was training for the first one, I was one of the reasons that I actually signed up to do it was I wasn't the skinniest kid in junior high and high school, and I was kind of just looking for some sort of motivation to really go and be a lot more healthy and be able to go and do hard stuff. And so I trained for probably about 3 months, and it was just, it was my senior year, right? So I had gym, but we'd have like the first 15 minutes to do just whatever, and then like the next half hour would just be ours to do whatever with.
Yeah.
And so I would go and I'd run on the track. I would just start running and I'd keep running and get as many laps in as I could before, the end of the period and whatnot. But from the time that I started, it would take me like the entire class period to get to, what was it, like 2 miles or something? But then by the end of it, I was at like 3.5 or something. So it was very steady progress, but it was progress nonetheless. So it was pretty cool being able to challenge myself in that way and being able to see that goal through to the end.
Yeah.
So
that's something like that. I feel like exercise kind of really teaches, or it's like the easiest way to teach like that. That actually staying consistent and practicing something.
The mindset of endurance, kind of,
That it'll lead to results, basically.
Yeah. It's good times, though. First one was nuts. Second one was a little bit easier. Third one was much easier, but they all sucked.
What would you say? What's like the hardest part? Is it just like the terrain, or is it?
So I was living out in Utah when I was doing these, right? And Utah has mountains, like actual like behemoths of mountains.
So it's just like steep.
One of the first things that you would do every time was called the Stairway to Sparta. You would basically have to traverse probably about a half a mile of a mountain just literally straight up. There was no actual trails. They just went through and poured a bunch of dirt in random places to get you up to the top. You literally would be like on an 85% incline, just climbing. You'd be holding onto trees. You'd be like having to find footholds and everything. It was basically free base climbing, but without all the harnesses and shit.
Yeah.
That was by far the hardest part every time. Just the insanity of just climbing literally straight up a mountain.
That sounds kind of fun though in my perspective, but it'll probably go like if I tried, it'd probably go two ways. Where like I'm like halfway through and I'm like I can't do this, or I would just like go crazy and be like I love this and just keep going.
Yeah, I mean, even if you do go crazy and just keep going, you're gonna get to the top of that and need like 5-10 minutes to just. Oh, what just happened? Where am I?
That's true. We suck at but humans, we suck at like going up. Like I do the stair stepper at the gym, and it's like every time, like I'm like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, like my heartbeat is so high, and like I'm sweating, and so I can't even imagine like full sprint.
See, you have steps though.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is like you're walking up an escalator pretty much.
And I'm not sprinting. I'm like, you're walking.
Yeah, I mean, you can try and sprint up a mountain, but Jesus Christ, you got to have some insane quads to do that.
Yeah. Wait, so I was so Utah is like famous for like the Mormons, right? So how big are they there? Like, would you say?
So statistically speaking, 62% of the entire state is Mormon.
60.
They've got the majority out there. So
that's crazy to think about, because that just like one like set of people is like damn.
Yeah, I mean, it's all just one little valley that's completely packed. Like, pretty much the way that I'm trying to think of how to put it in. Like, so if you were to go from Canton down to, I want to say like Lithia Springs or so, kind of like that's. I'm still learning the area, but that kind of distance, that's essentially all that is in Utah, like in the valley. You've got all the kind of rural areas and whatnot, but the main hub goes from Ogden down to Provo, and none of the cities are anywhere near as big as Atlanta. Like, it's just Atlanta is a massive city. It's like an actual city comparatively. You go to Salt Lake and it's more like Marietta, but it's their, like, that's the state capital. And so I don't know, but no, it is a very, very high concentration of Mormonism out there.
Dang. So is it I mean, I guess like now, is it friendly to outsiders? I guess, like, right? Like, they're not.
Is it what? Sorry.
Like friendly to outsiders who aren't part of the. Would you say?
I have a very complicated history with Mormonism, but like, from the outside looking in, it's going to be like, generally people are pretty nice and they want to know how your day is going and stuff, but there's a tinge of kind of just performativeness to it. Like, out here, Southern hospitality is an actual thing. You have somebody ask about your day, they want to know about your day. They want to know what you're up to. They want to know how you're doing. Out in Utah, in my experience, it's mainly just small talk. It's just, oh, hey, how's it going? How you doing? Blah, blah, blah. I really don't actually care. I just want to ask the questions to tick it off my list to make sure that I'm being a decent person. But like, I couldn't give a fuck, honestly. So it's a delicate balance, but for the most part, if you're coming in visiting from out of state, they're gonna be nice. But it's once you start getting to know people that you really pick up on the, like I said, the kind of the performativeness of it. So
they have like some power though. Like they have like $100 billion like
oh, dude,
of
don't
funds
even get me
under.
started on that. Yeah, no, the church has their investment portfolio, which
they're lit.
is mostly it's mostly in pharmaceuticals and soda and stuff. So, fun fact, one of the things about Mormons is like for a very long time, they weren't allowed to do like any playing like face cards. You weren't allowed to play with face cards because it was...
Wait, so like poker and stuff?
Yeah, like even outside of poker, just face cards, the 52 card deck, you weren't allowed to play with those because it invited the adversary is what they would call it. You know, they've got the devil, but it's not the devil because there's no hell. It's a whole thing. Anyway, so there's that, which is very strange. And then the second thing being that Mormons can't drink caffeine, which was a thing for a very long time because like back
I could be a Mormon. I don't really drink caffeine. I mean, not that I don't like it, but I just don't drink it that much.
That's fair. And that's fine. But the church had an official statement back in like the late 80s, early 90s, if I remember right, that was basically like, hey, don't drink caffeine, period. No Coke, Diet Coke, no Pepsi.
There's not that many Starbucks in Utah then?
Well, there is now. But they mostly sell hot chocolate and other stuff like that. That's funny. But for a very long time, the official stance of the church was don't drink caffeine, period. And then early 2000s, they came out and they're like, oh, yeah, no, it's fine. It's okay. You guys can drink it, right? Come to find out, you know, the couple of years ago when their investment portfolio was kind of blown up and like shown to everybody, the reason that they went back on their word is because they had bought stock in Coke and Pepsi and all this stuff. So it's like, oh, hey, you know, it's okay because you're essentially just going to be making us money by doing that. So we don't mind if you go and drink caffeine now. Coffee is still a no-go, and like black tea, which is weird. But
wait, just black tea or any tea?
Black tea specifically. So like caffeinated tea. You don't drink caffeinated tea, but you can drink caffeinated soft drinks because of the investment portfolio and all this other
green
stupid
tea.
shit. But green tea, I'm not sure, to be honest. But like growing up, it was always just you don't drink coffee, you don't drink tea. Yeah. Like you can have, you know, once you get to a certain age, you know, you can start drinking caffeinated drinks and whatnot, soft drinks. But outside of that, it was just don't even think about it. So.
Wait, did you grow up one or no?
Yes, I was raised Mormon. When I was 19, I had my records removed because there were some just heinous comments made about just a bunch of random shit during a general conference. That the general conference is their twice a year meeting where the quorum of the 12 and the prophet and the first and second counselor or whatever all come together and have a big kind of
like a conference.
Big conference, and they go over, you know, different proclamations, and you know the prophet has his revelations that he you know spreads out to the world and yada yada yada. But when I was 19, it was the April conference, and there were a couple of the general authorities, is what they're called. They they just said some really kind of fucked up shit, and I was like, nope, I want no part of this. I wasn't active at that point anyway, but it pushed me to the point of being like, no, I don't want any sort of association, like in any kind of legal manner, if you will, with the church. So I went and got them removed, and I have been unaffiliated religiously ever since. So.
Wait, damn, that's interesting. Wait, is there like people who don't talk to you because of that, or how does that work? Or?
Not really. I mean, I was very quiet about it. Like I didn't ever feel like I needed to go and make a big statement like, oh, hey, this is so bad, and I'm leaving the church and da 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 da. If anybody were to ask, I would let them know, and I'd just be like, hey, you know, this is why, but I'm no longer a member and such. But for the most part, people just kind of assume that you go out there, people will just assume that you're Mormon baseline. Like growing up and stuff, if you were to meet somebody who was Catholic or who was Presbyterian or Protestant or something, they were a unicorn because it doesn't exist out there basically. It's either you're Mormon or you don't believe in God. That's the binary that most people kind of just function on, which is so strange. But
no in between.
You know, that's just more of a comment on how it is that you know they think out there. It's very black and white. There is no gray area in anything. So it's weird. Yeah,
that's interesting.
It's very odd.
I myself, I mean, I grew up. What did I grow up? Like, we grew up like my parents were interesting. They they switch between like Catholic and Christianity, because I don't know like the specific term, but like general Christianity. What's like, is that
non-denominational?
Probably, yeah. Like they go to church, like the churches that sing a lot. I don't know if you're familiar.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, our church sang a lot too, but we
Yeah.
didn't have cool songs or bands or
Yeah.
anything. So
Like when I was young, like they switched back and forth, and so I was never that much into it.
Mhm.
And then in high school, they got like, I guess they got like into it, like they started going like every week, which kind of frustrated me because at that time I just wanted to play on my Xbox.
Yeah.
And I would get really mad. I'm like, no, I don't want to go.
It's like this is my day
Yeah.
off. I'm supposed to be relaxing and
Literally.
doing other shit. Like why
I
is
gotta
it
go
that
to-
I'm being held to this?
I got to go to school Monday through Friday. And then now my
Yep.
Sunday's taken away and I can't play Call of Duty.
I kind of had that at least. So my parents got divorced when I was 12, and so I was in a split household from like sixth grade on.
Yeah.
At that point, my mom was still pretty into the church and stuff. She kind of had her falling out, but then eventually came back. But my dad had kind of a slow burn out. But my dad more focused on like when we were with him, you know, it was a different ward that we would have gone to and you know, all this stuff. And he was very good about making the focus more about spending time with family and just, you know, having quality time with people, doing good things for other people and kind of just, you know, hanging out that way, more focusing on the real morals of what the church kind of tries to teach.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. There was whatever weekends I was with my dad. Sundays were just, you know, chill out and watch. At the time, it was watching the TV show Heroes a lot. Like I don't know if you've ever heard of that show.
Yeah, I heard of it.
It's kind
I
of an
never
older
watched
one.
it.
It's pretty.
It was
good.
popular, right?
It was super popular. It's one of my favorite TV shows. But I was just doing that, and then I didn't have an Xbox yet at the time, but I played Call of Duty Black Ops on the Wii.
Wait, you couldn't? Could you have consoles as a Mormon or no? Or no?
I mean, yes and no. Like it was more focused on the family kind of gaming. So I had a PS2, but we only ever had like Gran Turismo and Need for Speed and Guitar Hero, right? So no like online games. And then other than that, we had a GameCube and then a Wii, which is more, I mean, there are very few multiplayer games for that. It's mostly family gaming, whereas, you know, an Xbox or a PlayStation or PC even, you're going to have a lot more of the
Multiplayer.
online multiplayer and stuff like that. So I didn't actually get an Xbox until I was in like 9th grade or so. And then even then, it wasn't even like my Xbox. It was the Xbox at my dad's that me and my little brother and my little sister all shared. So it was interesting times.
Yeah. How do you think it affected like your, what's it called? Like your spiritual or relationship? Because like for me, for example, like I told you, like it really, I would be upset. Like I was really mad that I have to go to church on Sunday. So I kind of took that anger and kind of was like an atheist for like 2-3 years.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, like, because you can logically like point out all the flaws like in any religion, I think, right?
Pretty much, yeah. It's for me personally, so when my parents got divorced, that was kind of like the nail in the coffin of like, oh, a lot of this is not right. Like I had questions and stuff. So a little brief history of Mormonism. When you're 8 years old, you get baptized into it, right? You have this contract that you sign and everything. It's apparently legally binding, but you're an 8-year-old. So like, how does that work? But anyway, so you get baptized at 8. You're an official member of the church, and then depending on if you're a boy or a girl, you know, every couple of years you move up into a different kind of
like a rank.
Rank, yeah, is a good way to put it. So like, you're 8 years old, you're just, you know, you're part of the church and stuff. When you're 12, yeah, pretty much. When you're 12, the boys become deacons. When you're 14, you become a teacher, and then once you're 18. Depending upon whether or not you decide to go, or at 16, you become a priest, and then
at 16, a priest. Wow.
Well, it's just names. Like it's not like you're actually going and doing much. I mean, you do visiting teaching, which is just the extra, like you go to different people's homes and you share the message of Christ, and then you talk about random stuff and then just leave kind of deal. But yeah, so you're a deacon, then a teacher, then a priest, and then when you're 18, depending upon, well, it was 19 for a very long time, but when I was in high school, they lowered the age to 18, at least for boys. But if you decide to serve a mission and you go through that process, then you become an elder, and then after that, you're just, an elder for the rest of your time out there. I never served a mission. I didn't want to serve a mission, like even...
Wait, what is serving a mission? Is that like a missionary trip to somewhere else, or what is it?
Yeah, so it's depending upon where you get called to, you spend 2 years out in some random ass place proselyting and spreading the gospel, if you will. So I don't know. Like my older brother served a mission and he had a good time. He did a lot of service stuff while he was out there and whatnot. But for the majority, it's.
Wait, is it just like in the U.S. or where?
Everywhere.
Like anywhere in the world, basically?
I mean, pretty much anywhere in the world. I mean, there's a couple of places that...
you don't go?
North
Korea?
No, like literally. You don't go to North Korea. You don't go to... for a while, like there was a place in... Like you could go to the Ukraine or you could go to Russia, but then a few years ago, they kind of just... cut that off completely, and I'm pretty sure it was the Russian and Ukrainian governments, respectively, that were like, "Hey, we don't want you out here," kind of thing, because they're, I think it's Orthodox or something out there. I don't remember exactly what it is, but they've got like their state religion kind of thing, I think. But yeah, it's just anywhere that missionaries are needed. It's the way that it goes is that you apply for your mission papers and stuff, you go through, get all ready with your application and whatnot, and then the general authorities, the prophet or the first and second counselors or what have you, they'll pray on it, and then they receive revelation about where it is that you are being called to. And so
they randomly pick where you go then?
Pretty much. Like it's supposed to be guided by the Spirit, and like, oh well, we've prayed about it, and the Spirit has told us that you need to be, you need to go to Kenya, or you need to go to Oakland, California, or you need to go to frickin' just wherever it is.
Oh, you'd be like, how many Benjamin Franklins would I need to go to Paris or something?
Yeah, for real. But even then, like one of the things that kind of it really pissed me off even more about like the going back to the investment fund and whatnot, you have to pay to go on a mission. You have to have like money saved up to survive and live on out there, because the church doesn't give you shit. Like they give you a place to live, but you've got to do everything else. And at that point, in my mind, I'm like, you know what? If I'm going to get free room and board going to some, not even stateside kind of place, I would much rather just go and do that for fun. Like you can go backpacking all throughout Europe and you can get like the little hostels and whatnot. Yeah. And it's 10 times cheaper than whatever it would be. And then the money that you would use for food and whatever you can use for food and whatever, and going and doing fun things rather than just going out there and being in church every day.
Yeah. Wait, so have you dabbled or done any like research in other religions and stuff like that, or?
A tiny bit. When I was in high school, I don't remember who it was, but somebody was like, you should go through and like for like a week, just research another religion, try it out, kind of practice their religion for the week, see what sticks, see what doesn't, see what you like, see what you don't, and kind of just incorporate it that way. I was very much attracted to like Taoism and Buddhism and such, which is more along the lines of like, hey, nobody knows what it is that's going on. What we do know is that existence and life is suffering, but suffering through it is ultimately the greater kind of I'm losing my train of thought, but basically it's just I'm stuck on trying to
explain it.
yeah.
Um.
Anyway, it just as far as, you know, if I have practiced other ones and researched, I've done a little bit. I read the Quran, and with like the Quran and the Bible are remarkably similar. Like they aren't.
To be honest, that too. Like I've done like research in all of them, and like they kind of all say like a lot of like similar things, just in a lot of different ways.
Yeah. See, the analogy that I would always give about religion is like you have everybody looking at the sun and pointing at the sun, saying, "Hey, that's the sun." But hey, no, you're not supposed to point with your index finger. You have to point with your palm open. No, you're not supposed to do that. You have to point with your pinky. No, you're not even supposed to look at the sun. You're just supposed to acknowledge that it's there. Like it's everybody is saying the same shit. It's everybody's saying the same shit, but they're more caught up on, oh no, my way of saying this is the right way. That it's like, bro, it's still the sun. It's still going to be rising and falling every day. Like there's no, it really kind of comes down in my mind to it being an ego thing where it's just, you know, oh, well, my way is the right way because I say it's the right way. And there's nobody else that is going to understand it as well as me. And so you have to trust me. And blah, blah, blah. It's just so many layers to it that I kind of saw it and I was like, yeah, you know what? That's not for me. I've got better things to fill my time and better ways to express, you know, peace and love and, you know, all these other things. So
I think part of that's like probably like being human. Like I think that's just like because we like to like group ourselves. Like we're like you said, like there'll be one group who'll be like, oh, we're like they'll get on their high horse. I guess we're like, oh, this way is the right way and the only way, and then they'll have another group that they bash or like that's doing something wrong, and they'll bond with others who believe the same thing as them, while trashing other people, when in reality, like no one knows like the 100% truth, right?
It's just it's dumb in my opinion. It's not something that I really spend too much time thinking about because there are better ways than living by the code of this book or whatever it is. It's more just, hey, make sure you're being a decent person. Make sure that when you are going about your life that you are living in such a way that you find comfort and peace in it and that you are not imposing yourself upon other people in a negative aspect.
Yeah.
So when I was in high school and I was thinking about whether or not I was going to go on a mission, I was very much on the fence of like, you know, I could go on like a Salvation Army kind of mission, like go through with the Peace Corps and stuff and go and do actual good, go build, you know, schools or hospitals or whatever in some impoverished nation. And that would have much more of a beneficial effect on the human condition than going somewhere stateside and just, oh, hello, have you heard the good news of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ? Do you have a moment to talk about Jesus? And it's like, bro, why? What's the point? Yeah. Like there's, I don't know. Personally, I just think that there are much better ways to, I guess, attune your soul, if you will, and guide yourself to being whatever it is that you think is a good person, you know? So
I think that's what like Buddhism and like Taoism kind of do pretty well. Like they kind of make you reflect like on your own experience and like kind of what you're doing, like basically what you're doing in this world.
It's more trying to keep yourself in the moment and enjoying what it is that's happening around you as it's happening, because the past and the future, there's a little bit of a weird caveat. Have you ever seen the YouTube series Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared?
No.
It's kind of weird. It's a little bit fucked up at times.
Yeah.
But in the first episode that they have, it's this clock that pops off the wall and starts singing a song and stuff, and it's just essentially like let's see. It's time is a tool you keep on the wall or you wear upon your wrist. The past is far behind us and the future doesn't exist, which is kind of it's a very funny sing-song kind of thing later on as it goes, but as it stands, like, the past is far behind us. Even, you know, just the whatever it was 10, 15 minutes ago when we started recording this, that's well in the past now. The future, we have no idea. It could go any direction. Like, who's to say that I was going to actually stand up and just do random shit? Nobody would have known, except for me.
Yeah.
But I only decided to do that in the moment, which is, again, there's a lot of kind of weird philosophy that goes along with it. But I heard that, and I've kind of just stuck with that to be more, you know, live in the moment, appreciate what it is that you are experiencing now, because the past and the future really don't exist. Like, you can, you know, look on your past and kind of help guide your future minimally. Yeah. But there's no saying what it is that's going to be coming tomorrow, 3 weeks from now, 10 years from now. Yeah. Right? There, you can have all of the plans and all of the, you know, thoughts and whatever of like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this. This is going to happen. The universe doesn't give a shit what you think or what you want. It's going to be chaos, and chaos will unfold until, you know, the heat death of the universe kind of thing. So,
yeah, have you ever read the Power Now?
No.
By Eckhart Tolle? It's a really good book on, like, he basically, like, the main focus is like about being present, but he talks about a lot of other stuff too, and it's a pretty good book. You should check it out, and people listening should check it out too.
The Power of Now.
The Power of Now. Yeah,
I like that. I'll definitely give that a check.
Yeah, and you mentioned something that right now when you were talking. Oh, I forgot. Oh well. Oh, about the past is gone too, like, and like when you were talking about like the past and like the future and all that stuff, and I wanted to know too, like if like in the present you're having like a hard time or it's like really tough on you, you can work on changing that, but that's done like in the now, in the present, right?
Exactly. And
you have to, and in terms of the past, I feel like even in my life, like the way, well, this is what I write, like I usually write like in my journal, is like we suffer more in the story we tell than in the actual event. So like, let's say something bad happened to you. Yeah. We suffer more by the story we tell about it than the actual event itself.
And being hung up on the event and such, I would say. There's a story I would like to tell that kind of embodies this. So there's two monks, right? And these monks are of an order where you're not allowed to, like, essentially you're just, the key point of the story is you're not allowed to touch women at all. You're not allowed to shake their hand. You're not allowed to give them bump, you know, knuckles kind of thing. Nothing. You are just to be completely separated and celibate, I guess, in that manner, right? And so these two monks are walking, you know, down a riverbank and, you know, having conversation and whatnot, the older monk and the younger monk, and they come across an old woman who is trying to cross the river, but she's too old and frail to be able to get across by herself, and so monks walk up and they start talking with her, and she's saying, oh, well, I have no way to get over. The bridge that I had made was too flimsy, and it ended up breaking in the night because there was a rainstorm or whatever, and I now have no way to be able to get across. And so, without another word, the elder monk picks her up, carries her across the river, sets her down, and then, you know, the two monks go on their way. The younger monk, not really knowing what to think of it, he's sitting there and stewing and and being angry and mad that how is it that this elder monk could break one of their key tenets so easily, and yada yada yada. And so he confronts the elder monk. He says, well, why is it that you did that? Why is it that you picked that woman up? We're not allowed to even touch women. What is it that, why is it that you think that that's okay? Blah, 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 blah. And then the elder monk says, I put that woman down at the riverbank, and it seems that you are still carrying her. And it kind of is more along the mindset of like, hey, yeah, we've got these rules and we've got things, but sometimes rules are meant to be pushed and bent and broken for the betterment of others. Like, we have our own tenets to live by, and we have our own ways of living, but if we can do good, if we can do this other stuff, then to hell with that every once in a while. It's more about making sure that the impact that you have is going to be a positive one at the end of the day. So I think I may have lost myself in the analogy from whatever it was that we were originally talking about, but like...
No, we were talking about like not holding on to stuff from the past. So
That's right.
So you hit it right in the nail or the head.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just I don't know, that one of the stories that kind of resonated as being like, hey, you know what? It doesn't matter what it is that ultimately, doesn't matter what it is that you believe or what it is that you do or whatever. If you have the ability to make a positive impact and to be helpful and to be, beneficial to the human condition, even in a minute way, why not? Why not just take the 5 minutes that it would be to help an old lady cross the street, or to, help out your buddies with moving or something? Like, if you have the ability and you have the time, why not? Expend it in a way that is ultimately you're going to remember as being like, oh, you know what? That was a good time. I'm glad that I was able to do that, because, what would have happened if I weren't there? What would have happened if I wasn't around to be able to help? They would have struggled even more, but I can lessen that suffering by just offering a helping hand,
Yeah, and that's very true. And like in my experience, like, I kind of like helping others, like, who are in need, right? Like, I don't know why people wouldn't want to do that. Like, if it feels good, like, especially like somebody who's been in a similar position as me, that's probably feels the best, because like you've been in their shoes, like you felt what they're kind of feeling now.
Yeah, you're able to empathize.
Yeah. So I 100% agree. Like, it's great to do that.
Yeah. And so, and kind of going back again, when I was in high school thinking about missions and whatnot, that was a very key point in my mind, where it was like, if I were to go and serve a mission with the Mormons, the underlying aspect of it is they are trying to just get their membership numbers up. You're going out there to spread the gospel and baptize people into the church and, share that wonderful word. But at the end of the day, that doesn't really help people with anything. It doesn't actually have at least in my opinion, it doesn't have that much weight to it. You'd be much better off by going and building a community center or a community garden or some sort of orphanage or a hospital or what have you. Going and actually having a physical kind of indication that, well, maybe not indication, just some sort of physical aspect that is going to really have the potential to do good. Because ideals and ideas, they have their place, but in a world where we are living in the moment and we need to have certain things, being able to set up the groundwork to make sure that those things have the potential to actually come to pass and help and move forward, that's going to be 10 times better than going and telling somebody about a book that some dude took out of a hat 200 years ago. Like, I got some shit to say about Joseph Smith, but we're not getting into that today.
Yeah, you guys should look into the history of Mormonism. It's interesting.
It's a very interesting history for sure.
It's interesting. Wait, how long ago did you move to Atlanta?
Back in August, so like 3-4-ish months ago.
Oh, kind of like us. We moved here in like June, May,
Yeah.
June.
Yeah.
How was the transition?
It's been a little bit odd. Like, I mean, full disclosure, I was born and raised in Utah. I lived in that valley for my entire life up until August, and so I've had a number of little culture shocks, kind of coming really to light. You know, which is
You ever been to Miami?
no.
Go to Miami. Another culture shock.
Yeah, no, I've visited a bunch of different places out on the East Coast because my eldest brother has lived out here, you know, on and off for the last several years. You know, he after he graduated, he went and worked for the Federal Bureau of Labor, something or other. And he was living in D.C. After that, he got a different job, but he moved down to Maryland. And then after that, he met his now wife, and they got a house together in South Carolina. After that, they moved to Utah for like 6 months or so, and then they bought a house in Georgia, just over in northeast Marietta. And they've been living out there since about the same time that I moved out here. So
so that's why you moved out here. Well, not that's why, but you had your brother.
Yeah, I had my eldest brother out here. My dad's actually been living out here since 2018, and he was more the motivating factor to get out here because the company that we all work for Nova and stuff, he got me the interview and whatnot, and then I obviously just fucking sent it, pressed the pants off those motherfuckers. But no, I got the job out here with Nova, and being able to have kind of a support system out here beforehand, it would made the move much easier than it would have been had it been like, hey, here's just some random company that wants to bring me out and whatnot, and then figuring shit out from there. So having my dad out here and having my eldest brother and then their respective spouses and stuff, having that kind of beginner social circle, if you will, and support system made things much easier and much more attractive as an idea to moving out here.
Yeah, I mean, we can relate because all of us, like part of the nonstop team, we all moved out here, and I guess the good thing for us is that we came like together, so we had we were our own support system in a way, and I could just imagine like somebody else like just doing it, going to like a random city by yourself. That's shout out to anyone who did that. Like
y'all have some amazing
just
willpower and self-starting assuredness, because like I can be on my own, but going 100% solo is rough, man. Like humans need to have connection and interaction, and even the most basic of support systems in order to like really function and thrive. So you've got these people that are traveling thousands of miles from home, and this is not even just including America and stuff. You've got people that are coming over from Europe and the Middle East and Asia and such that are just full sending it out here, not having a lot of anybody or anything, solely to try and provide a better future for themselves and their families and their posterity and such. So
shout out to the immigrants. I forgot, like the immigrant story is crazy. Like they literally leave their homes and go through
just
whatever they have to,
everything, and end up getting out here to sometimes live in less than ideal conditions on the hope that they can make a better life, and that, I mean, I'm not so extreme that I've come from a different country, sold everything and stuff. Like if it were really to come down to it, I could move back to Utah. I would have the ability to have somewhere to stay out there and whatnot. There's a lot of people that don't have that, and so to them I tip my hat, because holy shit, y'all are a different breed.
But that's, to be honest, that's really cool, and like that's a great way to grow. Like, cause with no safety nets, you have like it's do or die basically.
Surrendering yourself to the unknown is massive. It's something that everybody should learn how to do. Being comfortable with being uncomfortable, you know.
Yes. It's something I try to do sometimes, like with certain things, but it's when you what's it called? It's different when you have like everything on the line, like no safe, like no fallback,
no nothing. Yeah, it's do or die, and
but,
that even has its own different kind of mentality to it. So.
But I feel like with that, it'll because you're not gonna die. The only thing you'll get from it is you'll show yourself what you're truly capable in a way. Because I mean, you're not gonna die like typically, like like 99% of the time, you're not gonna die.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everybody's gonna die, but
well,
like, going out and
by
doing
doing like a move like that or doing something that like you kind of have no safety net, unless like you're doing like something where you could like physically die, then you'll definitely grow and learn a lot from it.
Yeah, I can definitively say I have learned a lot more about myself in the last couple months of just being out here and figuring stuff out on my own than I ever would have gotten in Utah. Because, I mean, obviously there's different cultures everywhere, but Utah specifically has such an odd, like, bubble. Like, there's culture shock upon culture shock solely because... Like, Utah is its own little... Truthfully, it's just its own little bubble out in the middle of nowhere, basically. Yeah. Like, it's very odd. It's cool, but it's odd.
I gotta visit. I've never been to Utah. But, I mean, I guess the main attractions are, like, the mountains, right? And, like, the hiking stuff.
Yes, there is no shortage of... geographical beauty in Utah. There's always something to do. There's hikes and lakes and just literally anything you can think of. Rock climbing, you know, skiing, snowboarding, and stuff. Oh yeah. So like Salt Lake is the capital for Utah. Yeah. If you were to, it's basically like a 20-30 minute drive east. Yeah. There's a little mountain town called Park City that is only for, I mean, can't say only, but at least during the winter, it is a massive skiing, snowboarding kind of town. Yeah. So,
wait, is it better than Colorado though? I feel like Colorado. Is it better than?
Colorado? I'm gonna be so bold as to say yes, because Utah does have the greatest snow on earth. That's their tagline.
That's really their tagline. Like,
oh yeah, no. So like on on license plates out here, you've got "In God We Trust." You got some other random stuff, collegiate teams and whatnot. For Utah, it's the Arches, a skier with greatest snow on earth, and then like other stuff. But the reason for that being is the snow in Utah is different than anywhere else in the world because it's such a high elevation and it's in a desert, right? It's not like wet snow. It's very dry, powdery snow, if that makes sense. So like you can still go through and like make snowballs and clump it together and all that stuff. Yeah. But for the majority, it's just powder. And so going, skiing and snowboarding on powder rather than kind of on slushier kind of snow, that's phenomenal. Oh. So if you like skiing or snowboarding, go to Utah.
He just gave us an infomercial.
A little bit.
I've only gone skiing in North Carolina. I've gone twice there. They have like some mountains, but it's not like a true like what would you call it, like
the mountains out here have their place. The Appalachians are definitely mountains in their own right. They're just very, very old and rounded off. Whereas the farther west you go, if you were to look at like a topographical like 3D map of the U.S., you've got the East Coast and it's all smoothed out, and then you got the Midwest and everything, and then suddenly it's just with these fucking mountains starting in Colorado all the way over to California. So it's nuts. So other than North Carolina, where have you been to?
Where have I been?
Yeah, where have you visited?
Oh, that's kind of... I'm kind of like I'm not I travel a lot, kind of, sort of. More than the average person, I would say. Fair. I did a whole Europe trip. I studied abroad there in college. So that's probably like one of my top trips.
Where'd you get to out there? Where were you studying at?
Studied in France, in the Côte d'Azur, which is like the southeast of France, near Nice. I don't know if you're familiar. If anyone, I studied in Cannes. And I went to during the program, I went to London, Paris, of course, and Barcelona.
Nice.
And that was a great time, actually.
Oh yeah.
That was fun.
Nice. I always wanted to go to Europe. I'm actually I'm planning to go out this June to go and visit my buddy in Finland and go and see like the midsummer kind of stuff for out there.
Is that where you only going to Finland, or do you plan on going?
Well, we're gonna be going to a couple of different countries, I imagine. Okay. But like my buddy lives in Helsinki, so like that'll be I'll fly out to Helsinki, and then I'm planning on going out there for the midsummer celebration. And there's this big kind of like booze cruise, is what my buddy called it. And so like you go over to. You take a cruise over to like Denmark or something and go buy really, really cheap alcohol, and then you just try and take all of it home and stuff. It sounds like it's going to be a party. Like I'm really, really pumped, and I haven't seen him in a couple of years, so it'll be nice to be able to go and reconnect with him.
Well, that should be cool. I've never been to Finland. But they speak Finnish, right? Or
yeah. So there's the Finnish, which
it's an interesting name for a language.
In English. Right, we have tenses for things. There's like past tense, present tense, future tense kind of deal. In the Finnish language, they have 14 different like tenses. Now, I might be wrong on that. I might be misremembering, but my buddy was telling me like he has to take Finnish because he's got to know the language, being out there and living out there. And when he was first going through his Finnish classes, he was like, dude, this is the most insanely difficult language that I have ever tried to learn, because there's so many different ways of like saying things, and like if you mess up like the placement of one or two words, it completely changes the entire just the entirety of the sentence. So if you're trying to say like, oh well, me and my friend Steven went to the park, you have to say it like the park, me went, and went my friend Steven kind of thing. It's the literal translation over to English is so weirdly cut comparatively. So I don't know. It's very odd.
Wait, do you speak any other languages or no?
Bullshit.
You said bullshit.
Nah,
I was trying to decipher what that was for a second. I was like, oh, it's bullshit.
Yeah, no. I've learned like a little bit of Spanish and a little bit of German, but like not enough to really have a conversation. I just know a couple of phrases and words and whatnot, trying to be able to get the point across. Fluent in Pig Latin, but that's not an actual language. So ude ixpe ikpe.
Is there also it's both? I know it was written. Do people actually speak Pig Latin?
Some, like growing up, I had this friend who her parents would have full on conversations in Pig Latin solely to be able to talk in front of the kids without talking in front of the kids, kind of thing. Yeah. Listening to them, it was like they were speaking a different language, but like I understood, because Pig Latin is kind of easy. It's just you take the first consonant off of the word, throw it to the end, and say a. So like, do you speak Pig Latin? Ude uye ixpe ikpe adenle? Like it's just you can follow it pretty closely and stuff. But her little siblings had no idea what the fuck was going on because they hadn't figured it out and they hadn't been taught. Yeah. But there are some people that speak Pig Latin pretty fluently, if you will, but no, other than that, I just know English.
Yeah, I know some Spanish. Well, at home we speak Spanish, and I learned French a little bit, but I haven't practiced it. So,
how similar are French and Spanish?
Pretty similar. Like it helped a lot. Like knowing Spanish helped a lot because they're like the romantic languages. Yeah, it's like. What is it? French, Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, and Romanian.
Yeah. I mean, Portuguese is basically just a mixture of Spanish and French, from what I understand. So
Yeah, like they're all like, if you know one, the others are kind of easier. But if you know like two, then you can like
pretty much,
point out the similarities in between all of them.
yeah.
Which is kind of cool now, because when like I'll see Italian, and Italian's very similar to French.
Really?
Yeah, like at least the grammar.
Oh, okay.
The grammar, not the spoken, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool.
Hell yeah.
But the real challenge is like learn like the other languages, like Mandarin or Arabic. Shout out to people who learn that, because that's a beast.
See, I've always wanted to learn Russian because I think it's such a cool sounding language. Like, it's very harsh,
Yeah.
but it's also it's just kind of a stoic language, in my opinion. But like, I've always wanted to learn German, like to the point of being able to have like a fluent conversation. Yeah. Always wanted to learn Russian. I've wanted to learn Gaelic for a very long time, which is native Irish. I love Ireland. Anything Irish, like, fuck me up with it. I'm a fan.
Yeah. Are you gonna visit Ireland?
If I have the ability to, fuck yes. Like, that is on the bucket list.
Go to Dublin, right? Dublin.
I'd go and visit Cork, because my granddad went. So back to the Mormonism and stuff. My grandfather served his mission in Ireland, and so he has like a whole bunch of cool stories about the area out there. Yeah. He's shown me a bunch of pictures. He's got this one picture where he went to an old like naval military base, and it's this like 17-foot long cannon, and he's just sticking his head inside of it. He's like just halfway crawling into it, and it's one of my favorite fucking pictures. I think it's hilarious. Yeah, I've always wanted to go to Ireland. When I die, I want to be cremated, and I want my ashes spread on the Giant's Causeway, the Cliffs of Dover, or I'm kind of out for the third, because there's a couple different places in the States.
Wait, where's the? You said the Giant's Causeway. Mm-hmm. What's that?
Have you ever seen those hexagonal rock patterns?
Maybe. No. Where?
Hold up.
Maybe nowhere. The Giants. Was it with the Giants Causeway? Oh.
Giants Causeway. It's basically just an outcropping of rocks that naturally are shaped in hexagonal like columns.
Where is this?
In Ireland. I don't know exactly where, but I'm pretty sure it's in Ireland. It could be very much wrong. But
and what was the second place?
Northern Ireland. Cliffs of Dover.
Cliffs of Dover. Where's that? I don't.
It's also in Ireland. It's also a very wonderful Eric Clapton song. So,
I guess make like a triangle, and then with the place, the last place. That way, with the 3 places, it'll make a triangle.
It'd be pretty tight.
Or maybe you do 5 places, and you get a hexagon like that, like the.
Yeah, you can find 6 different places, and then have it end on Giant's Causeway. That'd be pretty tight. But.
Wait, so I was so you said your grandfather was Mormon as well?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a deep history.
Yeah. So my great grandfather lived in Denmark, and the story goes that he was basically avoiding the Danish army draft.
Yeah.
And so he faked it. He literally faked his death, and then came out to America with the Mormons and stuff, went out west, actually settled a town called Draper. He was the blacksmith out there, and he found the quarry for the marble that was used to build the Salt Lake Temple. So it's he's somewhat notable. He was also a polygamist, but he only had 2 wives.
Dang, so he has a lot of clout in the Mormon community.
A little bit. He did, yeah.
He's probably rolling in his grave.
Might be. Sorry, Lawrence.
All right. Well, on that note, I think we could wrap it up. I don't know if you have anything else that you want to add or anything.
No, just be nice to people. Try your best to be a little bit less of an asshole every day, and you're gonna have a decent time, I would say.
Well, I appreciate you coming through, Jackson. This has been another episode of Deep Thoughts. Y'all have a good day. Be nice to people.
Be easy.
All right, be easy, be nice, and y'all have a good one. Peace.
Nice.
I'm riding between it all in this perfect play. I'm a piece of the puzzle, I'm a fit where you need me.